everybody, Josh RV Nerd of Bish's RV, and if I sound a little more nasally than normal, fighting off a little bit of a head cold today, but overall, pretty much fine, and I'm going to be okay through this. You just might want to mute your speakers a little bit sooner than normal. Going through some updated footage on the 24RDS Cougar here today. This is something that comes in under 30 feet. I think it's actually closer to 29 feet. I do still recommend a 3/4 ton pickup, but what's cool about this one, it's an under 30-foot couples model that gives you surprisingly good campsite window coverage, really good kitchen prep space and total storage, but it also has allowances for decent, guest sleeping capacity, which is something a lot of smaller fifth wheels or even trailers just typically don't do very well. Now, they make several floor plans kind of in this size right here. This one is not the most travel, stop, and stay over friendly. It's fine if you want to stop and make a sandwich and have a place to sit down and eat. But I will tell you right away, the bedroom and the bathroom are going to be lost when the slide out is closed, and I know that's a big deal breaker thing for some folks, and some folks are going to tune right out right away. I hope you appreciate that I went out of my way to go ahead and rip the Band-Aid off on that now instead of 10 minutes from now when we close the slide for road mode, because I respect you and your time, and if that's a problem for you, we have other models. But if that's not a deal breaker, what does this one offer here? Well, they have their 1 + 3 year warranty with allowances for full-time RVing. You've got a 3,000-pound towing hitch on the back. Goodyear tires, awesome hot cold weather package on this. They actually go 0 to 110 degrees. Cougars are some of the best RVs I've seen for hot weather camping. Everyone wants to talk about cold camping, but most people hot weather camp. This little thing is 50 amp and is second air capable, straight from the factory. Also has things like the handy in-command system. So if you want to do Bluetoothy kind of things to control your RV, you can do all that. They've also enhanced the solar package this year, and Cougar does have some pretty respectable enhanced solar options also available. Again, it's not perfect. It's got cool things. It's got things that make you go, and I'm going to let you decide if it's good or not. As we go through, I might ask you some questions. I'd love your feedback on this one, and thanks again for tuning in. And it's like overall, I feel like Cougar has kind of matured a little bit over this past year. They've added some really nice features, and just the general overall look, feature, and function of the RV just it feels a little bit elevated in some very subtle kind of ways. Like they've tweaked around and changed up the decor a little bit this year. To me, it's not a major shift, but it just looks a little bit cleaner. But all the really clutch detail things that they had are still here, like their ducting system. So they use these vortex style ducts off their AC vents, and allegedly it produces less noise and puts more cold air down in the cabin more quickly than a lot of other designs. But it is incredible how every manufacturer does claim to have the best air conditioner out there. I don't know how they could all have it when they're all using different stuff, but either way. What I do like that Cougar's doing, though, are these household air filter systems that they have. That is a really cool, really nice touch. And something I'm hopeful, they just released this new floor plan called a 260 MLE, where kind of like this, it does have a TV that's a little bit high mounted. I like that the TV's straight across from the sofa. If I sit down here at the theater seat, this is kind of your view from the driver's seat. And the TV is up pretty high, but what that does allow for is, it still allows us to maintain some decent campsite window coverage, which is really functional. When you're sitting here, you really get to feel like you can look out of your RV. And when you're standing up, you're kind of looking down toward your campsite, which sort of makes sense. But what I'm getting at is, what I'm hopeful that they do is they adopt the drop-down TV system like they have in that Big Cat 260 MLE that hasn't yet made its way over here into the Little Kitten series. Now, they cut the countertop back a little bit, and they include a little electric space heating Tootsie toaster down there. Some manufacturers who build a layout like this, they maximize storage and they go with more drawerage over there, going for the drawerage kind of storage. Cougar also somewhat rare with a larger 22-inch oven as compared to the very common 16-inch oven. And if you look at a lot of the outlets, like that kitchen outlet over there on the wall, which first of all, I love its location. It's down where you can actually use it for appliances instead of being up under the overhead cabinets exclusively. It's inverter prepped. So if you feel like adding an inverter to this RV, it's a lot easier to do that. And if you get the more advanced solar packages beyond the 220 base package that we're looking at today, you will actually have an inverter installed right from the factory, either 2,000 or 3,000 watt, depending on which package you get. More of those inverter prepped household outlets up there. And I like the USB Type A and C plugs to the left of that stereo head unit, and they're actually one of the few still including a DVD slot on that. A lot of people ask, like, when is the RV industry going to start doing Blu-ray? I don't think they are. I don't think that's ever going to happen. I kind of feel like that time has sort of, like, that opportunity and window has sort of passed us. I think RV manufacturers kind of went from DVD to sort of like streaming friendly ish designs, you know? I don't think we're going to see a lot of factory integrated Blu-ray stuff, at least in the towable RV market. I've seen a little bit of it in toy haulers, seen a little bit of it in motorhomes. Now this thing right here, this is what I was talking about. If you want like a nice 30-foot or less couples kind of fifth wheel, but you do want to have some capacity for like a decent adult-sized guest, that thing back there is an 8-foot wide wall-to-wall mega dinette that folds into a pretty big bed. But something to keep in mind, I'm going to demonstrate later, you don't have to leave that table there because they did go free floating with the table. So if it is mostly just the two of you and you want to slide it over here for a little bit of Dinofa action, kind of like the... remember Marty McFly went, you know, back in time to his mom's house and he's like, you know, whoa, ho, ho, look at it roll. Now we can watch Jackie Gleason while we eat. You know, you can do something like that. Oh, by the way, the lights over here in the slide actually have their own cool little dimmer switch, which is really nice for like movie night or if you're going to use it for like a little bit of a night light, because they don't use a lot of the Obi-Wan Kenobi blue lightsaber lighting in here. They moved away from the marine slide flooring and they went to like a full matching flooring through the entire RV, slide out and main floor, which I prefer. I have noticed Keystone does tend to cut the little hangover flap a little bit shorter, so sometimes on the corners you can see where it is levitating just a little bit. But that's kind of the funny thing about floor flush slides. They're never actually truly floor flush until you get into some basically big diesel pushery kind of money. Diesel pushery. It's nerdism number 37, by the way. That is one of those 10 plus cubic foot 12 volt compressor fridges over there. And they have that paired up with minimum 220 watts of factory solar, although as we're going to talk about on the outside, you can bulk up on that right from the factory or even expand on it a little bit aftermarket. They've recently started putting a larger charge controller on even these base models right here, so that if you you do feel like doing some updating and upgrading, you don't necessarily have to remove factory hardware to do it. And did you notice, by the way, how the entry door does have that privacy shade there, and the fact that they open from a bottom up, your input fed back to Cougar through multiple sources, including these videos, is literally one of the reasons that like the industry as a whole pretty much has them in a better privacy mode like that now. So well done for you folks. Now, if you look at this, the TV can pivot around to face back toward the dining. Very handy if you have, say, like a grandkid for the weekend and you're trying to entertain them on a rainy day. And even though they don't go with maximum drawers, because they do include that electric heat and Tootsie toaster over there, I think this kitchen overall still has some fairly decent storage, especially when you consider, like, there's other builders of a layout like this, some of which have a larger 3-seat sofa over the slide. But if you look, some of them lack any sort of pantry. Whereas this one, they went with a traditional 2-seat theater seat, but they actually have a pantry in the slide beside the refrigerator. So that's why I like having different builders who make different versions of the same layout, because sometimes you get to kind of dial into which one that you would prefer a little bit here. If I'm going to be nitpicky, I sure would like some kind of access to the storage under the dining seating other than taking all the cushions off of it. It's not that it's impossible, it's just, it's certainly not fun. You know, especially if you need to get something while there's somebody sitting there. And again, remember, you can float that dining table around anywhere you want. You can even take it outside for a little bit of picnic time. I'm a big fan of anytime one thing can do multiple things in an RV. Now, the RV does have the in-command kind of smart control system. One of the things that you'll find, like there's another one of these in the bedroom, it still just has like a light switch, because right by the entry door, you know, you've got your touch panel where you don't even need to put in your code to turn off the ceiling lighting and stuff right from there. But it's nice that, like, when you're going up to bed at night, you can just flick a switch and bam, there you go, you know. The space around the toilet is what I call fairly fluffy friendly, and that is a porcelain foot flush toilet. And over here, you can see that they actually do have some nice linen cabinet space, and I like how they fully enclose that. They don't leave it kind of open air. I'm not a fan of open air storage myself. I prefer when something has a door on it, just because this thing, it bumps and jumps going down the road, you know? It's kind of nice. I really like how Cougars give us plenty of headroom in here, but notice the little detail here. Right next to the shower head, it actually has a light above the shower now. Because, like, during the day, that skylight up there, it sure makes this shower look nice, light, and bright. But at night, that's not always the case. So having just little details like that, those are things where if you're a first-time RVer, you've never thought about it, you don't realize how important little stuff like that is. And obviously, Cougar's dialed in right now. I love the extra drawer storage and little wastebasket space they have there in the bathroom area. And that is a full Lipitor storage medicine cabinet, not just the little mirror on the wall, as it were. They also fully frame out their doorways, which is kind of cool. A lot of people like that sort of concept for privacy. And something that is actually still kind of surprised me here, I've heard for the better part of about 1.5 years that Cougar is planning on and working on increasing the size of their beds from a factory Camp Queen to a factory True Queen. I've been told that that's going to require a little bit of front-end redesign, and I do feel certainly that there is room here. If you put a True Queen into it, I think it can work just fine. I'm just a little bit surprised they haven't actually done that right from the factory level yet. Now, in the kitchen, you saw a bunch of those inverter prepped outlets. The TV plugs up here, you know, on this big blank wall on the right where you could mount a TV, those are also inverter prepped. And speaking of prep, these are all going to be 50 amp. Your main air conditioner is a 15,000 BTU. You are always prepped and ready for a second air on these, and they are offering a factory second air conditioner. So I can imagine some of our Texas, Arizona, hot climate country friends, that's probably something they would definitely be very interested in if I had to guess. Something else I think is cool, they have these kind of nice, fairly open side pockets beside the bed here, with household and USB outlets on both sides. With a USB Type A and Type C plus dual household outlets, and the outlets on both sides of the bed are inverter prepped. So depending on what you're doing, like if you want like a standing fan or something like that, or a CPAP user, if you are going to do the Walmart, you know, overnight stealth mode camp, you could do that here. Although we're going to see in road mode, you do have to close this or open this slide to pull that off. Taking a look down here, looking through all the bedroom storage, overall, it's pretty good. One thing, though, to consider is that this RV does have that revised closet space up front there. And one of the cool things about that is, like, it added taller hanging storage, because they used to have really short hanging storage with drawers underneath. So they pushed all the drawers to one side. They put all the hanging to the left that occupies about 2/3 of that slide. So you actually have nice, longer, taller storage, where unless you've got a really long, you know, like shoulder to ankle sundress for Uncle Gary or something like that, it's generally going to fit in there fine. But pants, shirts, you know, common things like that are going to fit in this thing pretty well. Easy lift storage below the bed. But this little guy doesn't have any sort of allowance for a washer dryer or anything like that. So that's another thing that you might want to keep in mind. Every builder does a little bit different. There's all sorts of different features everybody likes. And one thing that is cool about this is its length for towing. But that's also one of its greatest liabilities. Because in travel and road mode, you just flat lose the upper deck. And you can't just like flip-flop the upper deck. Like you got the kitchen over here. If you wanted, you know, to be able to maintain upper deck access in this one, you'd have to extend the RV kind of significantly and rearrange some things to sort of make it happen. That's just not necessarily possible here. However, that doesn't mean that it isn't without some travel function. Because right from that door, you can basically get to all the kitchen, including the pantry and the refrigerator, and you can get to the dining. Now, in an extreme pinch, let's say you get in some kind of crazy, stupid traffic jam and you just got to sleep. Yeah, if you can't open the slide, I'm not going to say it's going to be awesome. If you had to, you might be able to get a couple hours of shut-eye by folding down the dinette into a sleeper. So that's a potential option there. But, you know, if you're looking for full access in traveling, which I know a lot of people are, Cougar does have a few other options kind of better tuned to that, but they may not have this kind of window coverage and big living space as a result. It's all a push and a pull. Now, regarding towing, even though this is a smaller fifth wheel, I am not someone who's a really big fan of pairing up fifth wheels and half tons. Generally speaking, the vast majority of half tons lack the payload capacity to handle even small fifth wheels like this. And I've talked about this till I'm blue in the face, but there's a lot of people that get told, you just slap airbags on it and full send, brother. Well, I'm not one of those guys. Airbags don't actually change your payload rating, which is a very commonly misunderstood sort of thing. Again, dealing with some medicine head here. The word's not coming quite as easily today, requiring maximum effort, as I believe the great philosopher Deadpool once said in his motion picture debut. Over here we have our in-command system, which is basically the central nervous system of the RV. One of the cool things about this, though, you get to see their all color-coded wiring. Now, they're not the only ones doing that anymore, but Keystone was the first towable RV manufacturer to standardize color-coded wiring. You see another one of those inverter-prepped outlets with the yellow mark over there, and you might notice how they got rid of those, like, common, 12-volt blade fuses that are more easily popped and need replacement more frequently, and they have, like, more of an automotive bus-style relay. They are doing 30-pound propane tanks, smaller fifth wheels. More and more of them I've seen swapping in 20-pound tanks, but still giving doors size for 30 pounds. I think that's just kind of one of those things where you do really want to look a little bit below what is just skin deep on a lot of RVs nowadays. Now, what's also cool about this, they not only have automatic leveling, which not all smaller fifth wheels have anymore. For a while, auto leveling in the fifth wheel market was just like a given, but, you really still want to shop that now. They've got an upgraded pin box and suspension package for some smoother ride and handling. Now, in the past, I've had a bad habit of forgetting to show you what's in this front storage compartment here. Pardon my little battery box. I'm actually going to turn that off to save a little bit of juice and let the solar package up on the roof tend that a little bit. Last year, 200 watts of lithium batteries were standard on these. That is now optional because the thing is, you were never getting them for free. That's one of the reasons that Cougars have actually cost adjusted down a little bit. They're not forcing lithium batteries on you, but you can still get them, and we can assist you with those here at our store. They are still including that nice big battery box, though, so if you want to put a couple things in there, you can. Now, you may have noticed a couple various switches, bells, whistles, and boxes up in there. Like the blue one was your Victron charge controller. These have always had, well, for the last couple years anyway, a Victron charge controller, but last year it was 15 amp by default, with a 200 watt panel up on the roof. Well, you can kind of peek that panel up there right now. That's now a 220 watt panel, standard, and a 30 amp charge controller. Now, so their solar package has gone from 200 watt base to 220, and their options have also each gone up 10% to 440 and 660, which is great. So you can actually outfit Cougars with, quite a bit of juice if that's what you're looking for. Theoretically, you could actually get the 660 package and build it up to the 1320 package, but that will take some aftermarket DIY replacement of a few things. One of the cool things on this floor plan, not just the heated enclosed underbelly, the fact that they have radiant barrier material, and the fact that they have a heat dump, like forced air heating, not just into the belly, but directly onto each individual holding tank. And each individual holding tank has its own 12-volt tank heater, which is thermostatic. So let's say it's like 60 degrees out, like it is right now, and the you flip your tank heater switch. It's just not going to do anything until it gets to be about 40 degrees in that belly cavity, and then it'll kick on and try to keep those tanks warm. You may have also noticed how this is a single-headed sewer monster. It does not have a double dumper, which is often a deal breaker for a lot of folks. You do have a sewer hose caddy tube in the back, mounted just in front of that 3,000-pound towing hitch that you might see sticking out right down below the base line there. That's actually got safety chain hooks and a 4-way wiring harness, which is kind of cool. I also like how this year they have swapped over to that MORryde safety handle thing. Safety handle, get it? The reason I like that, though, is if there's an unmonitored child running around the campground, those traditional folding, big grab handles that a lot of trailers and fifth wheels have had, if somebody on the outside of the RV folds those over the door, you kind of sort of have to break the handle and maybe dent up your door to get it open. These open and close just straight vertically. They never overlap with the door, so it kind of prevents that. Now, they have standardized Goodyear tires. I think they did that last year. TPMS is still optional, but it is all prepped and ready for it. So basically, you just get the kit, pop it on, and you're good to go. So overall, they didn't really, you know, totally tweak this one around versus last year, but this is a good model. I don't think they needed to. I will leave you some links in the video description. I can't talk today. Again, I'm dealing with medicine head, not feeling the best. I'm just doing okay here. Doing my best to get through the day, just like a lot of folks. So I'll leave you some links in the description where you can check for pricing and availability. But also, Grand Design makes a similar model. Jayco Eagle makes a similar model. Avenue from Alliance makes a similar model. I'll leave some links to those. Let me know which one you'd prefer to go with and why. And until next time, take care. Oh, you know what? I will also leave you a couple links. Like if you want something smaller like this with a bed slide, or if you want something that is more travel stop friendly, I've got some Cougar options that can do that for you too. They all kind of change things around a little bit, and it's just a matter of which one fits you best. So until next time, take care, stay safe, have fun, and happy camping, everyone.